have a confession. I hate Brussels sprouts until I made them this way, and it has changed the way I feel about Brussels sprouts forever. The only way that I have found Brussels sprouts to be quite tasty is to wrap them in bacon and a secret ingredient that I'm going to get into later. I mean, wrapping anything in bacon is going to make it taste better. Shrimp, asparagus, green beans, liver. Brussels sprouts really aren't that different. And before we begin, is it Brussels sprouts or Brussels sprouts? Let me know, because I tend to say both ways because I never know which way is right. Okay, so this recipe doesn't really need a spatula. It needs one of these, but it feels so wrong, so I'm just gonna grab one for moral support. Avocados are close enough. Now let's get to cooking so I can show you how easy this is to make. To start, you're gonna need Brussels sprouts, of course. These are already trimmed and washed, but if you didn't buy them pre-trimmed, then you're gonna wanna have to look up a video on how to do that, because this is not that video, and I have no idea how to trim Brussels sprouts off of a stick. You have two options here. You can cut them in half or you can leave them whole. I've tried them both ways and I actually prefer them whole just because it's easier for them to cook and they look prettier that way too. Next, you want to season your sprouts with salt and pepper. And to get the salt and pepper to stick, you just want to add a little splash of avocado oil. Now for the bacon. I'm going to use regular cut bacon, but you can use thick cut bacon. And if you're looking for a sugar-free bacon, Pedersen Farms is my favorite. I'm cutting these in half so they'll fit around the Brussels sprout. And now for our secret ingredient. Actually, it's not really secret because I've seen this done before, but it's our special ingredient, which is sugar-free maple syrup. And the only brand that I ever use is by Chalk Zero, who happened to sponsor today's video. I love their maple syrup because it's thick, just like maple syrup should be, and I give it to my kids all the time and they have no clue that they're eating keto syrup. Brush a thin layer of maple syrup on each strip of bacon, just one side. And you can use my code KetoFocus to get 10% off of your Chalk Zero order. And this code works every time you order too, not just the first order. Then we're gonna wrap the bacon around the Brussels sprout. You could add a toothpick here too, especially if you're gonna make these as an appetizer. I actually find it easier to add it afterwards, after the Brussels sprout has cooked. Plus you wanna be able to roll these around midway through baking. Now taking a look at the carb tracker, each bacon wrapped Brussels sprout contains 1.1 grams of net carbs. Before we bake these, you do want to add a little bit more maple syrup on top, just a little dab on the very top. You don't have to coat the entire thing because as it bakes, all of that maple syrup will drip down and coat your entire Brussels sprout. And these will go in the oven at 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. You actually want to check these about 8 minutes in and turn them. That way the sweetener doesn't just compile at the bottom and form this dark crystallized caramel layer. If you turn them, you'll get this beautiful golden caramel color throughout your Brussels sprout. And you can make these in the air fryer too. You want to air fry at 380 degrees for 12 minutes. And if you're using the air fryer, you don't have to turn them halfway through because all that bacon grease and caramelized syrup drips down to the bottom, so you're just left with beautiful looking bacon wrapped Brussels sprouts. This makes the perfect appetizer, and it was so easy to make, just about as easy as making my pork belly bites. And if you want the secret to making crispy pork belly bites, then click right here. Let's see how we did. These are so good dipped in ranch. It's like a flavor explosion.